All right. Let y'all see how long my hair is getting. Look at that rock star hair. Obviously thinning in the top. Obviously. Not gonna lie about that. But I mean, look how crazy long that is. I don't know. It's an interesting look. Alrighty, hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. Today we are doing a microphone review, and as per my usual, this is the third time I'm recording this video. I don't remember what the reason was for it before. So again, no unboxing, but just gonna be showcasing it and definitely doing some audio tests. Just trying to close this so I can show you. Okay, so the microphone that we have today, why is this not closing? I don't know why. So the microphone that we have today, this is obvious. This isn't the microphone. This is the box. Is the TZ Audio Productions Stellar X2. I think it can just be called the X2. Either way, so when this company contacted me, yes, this product was sent to me, but I was not paid. I didn't have to buy it. They just sent it to me for review. They contacted me and asked me if I wanted to try out one of their microphones. And I said, yes, I would love to. And the next thing they asked was my address. And then a couple days later, it showed up. So here we have, obviously we have the box that it came in, which at first I thought that what I was going to see inside was just going to be like foam and then just the microphone. I was like, no, okay, it's kind of regular. But then I opened it up and there's another box. There's a little package, little thing. I'll fold this up real quick so I can close it and get out of the way. One side note, and this has nothing to do with them, but I thought it was just very interesting. When I first opened this up, for some reason, it smelled like crawfish. I don't know why. Again, it has nothing to do with them. It has nothing to do with the review. It doesn't anymore. It's just, weirdly enough, the first time I opened it, I was like, is that crawfish? So, here we have the actual case for the microphone. And I like these cases. I'm going to be very, very honest. I like having something that's a little bit more permanent to put a microphone in. Even if this was like my career microphone, my forever mic, I would still want something that I could put it in just in case I needed to move, just in case I needed to take this with me because I was going to be on the road for a long time or flying to another state or what have you, and I needed to work mobily. I would love, to have a case like this. So it does come with it. And I will say this is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of a typical case. It's plastic and aluminum, nothing too special. But the thing that I do actually like is the fact that it actually has printed on it the microphone right there. So, you can see what's inside. The one critique that I would have for that is I think it would also been nice if it was printed on the sides, because I'm not going to be putting it on the shelf like this. It would be nice if I could, but more than likely I'm going to be putting it, on the shelf like this or like this because I have other microphones. But that's just one thing that I would just say print something to put on either side if you guys are listening, and I'm sure you are. But let's get into it. So, just some things on the box. There's nothing on the back. Some things on the box. It says unrivaled sound, bold claim. And it says transparent sound. I'm not too sure what transparent sound means, but, there you go. That's what it says. Now, let's crack this open. And let's pull out some stuff out of the inside. Now I'm going to show you what it looks like on the inside. Pretty typical. But it all fits very, very nicely. I've gotten some of these where the stuff actually doesn't fit, where sometimes you get one of these cases where it really just feels like they just had a one-size-fits-all case. And so you got the microphone that's kind of like rattling loose and everything else is just kind of like all over the place. But this one, no. Like everything seems like it was cut specifically for the size of the object. Put that off to the side real quick. We got our documentation. Also comes with a little leather pouch, which I don't feel is necessary for this one. However, I can, I know why these exist. This is just for the microphone. So if I was taking this with me, but I didn't want to take the shock mount, I didn't need all the other stuff, and I already had like a smaller shock mount and a stand and all that kind of stuff, but I just wanted something to carry the microphone in so it didn't get scratched, that's what this is for. But personally, I would definitely travel with that as much as possible. I'd feel more comfortable bringing it on a plane or putting it in a bag if it was in something that, the case can take more of a beating than the microphone can. At least I assume. Now, so we have some documents. This one is kind of the frequencies, stats and stuff like that. This one is a little quick guide kind of thing. We'll go over that in a second. And this one is actually my favorite. This is a kind of a checkbox, a quality control card, I guess. It has the person's name and their number right there. Yeah, right there. And then the date that it was checked before it was basically stored away. And then we have some checks on this side. And the top one says 14-hour burn it test. I've never wanted to know more about something than that right there. To me, it just sounds like they drug it through mud under barbed wire and there was like a mortar going off or something like that. And it was like, go, go, go. And they're like, did the microphone stand? That's what it sounds like to me, but I don't know. It's just very interesting. There is frequency sweep, sensitivity, noise floor, visual inspection test. And all of these were checked by this person right there. So they do have them quality tested and quality controlled by individuals before they're stored for shipment. So that is really, really nice. Now, let's go over some of this stuff. And yes, there is going to be a timestamp for when I plug in the microphone. So just letting you know, I just wanted to go over this stuff and show the mic before I plug it in. Because it's kind of hard to show it after it's plugged in. So just be advised. I'm not going to read everything off here. There's just a few things that I do want to note. It is called the X2, Stellar X2. Its frequency is 20 hertz to 18 kilohertz. Cardioid, pretty standard. And its equivalent self-noise is 13 dB. Those are kind of the most important stats to me. There's probably other things that are more relevant to other people. And then the last thing is up at the top, up here. And this one, when I first read this, I was like, bullshit. But it says, our capsule is based on the classic Neumann U87. That is a bold claim. I have held and tested, not all on this channel, some Neumann style microphones and some Neumann equivalent microphones. Some microphones that are kind of designed to replace or be on par with that. Very few have ever come close. I think the closest that I've ever used was the TLM 103 or TLM 104. I can't remember which one. Which is already, I mean, that's already like that's a little brother of the Neumann U87. So yeah, of course I would be pretty close. But other than that, most of them fall pretty short. We're gonna see how this one sounds. Unfortunately, I don't have a Neumann U87 to test against. I really wish I did. However, I'm glad I didn't spend that much money for a Neumann U87. But should I ever get my hands on one, I will revisit this and do a shootout. Maybe someone in the area that I know might have one. I might test it with theirs or go to their studio. Because I would rather bring this microphone to their studio than them let me borrow their Neumann U87. That's a bigger deal. So put that away. Now we have the quick start guide. Now, at first when I was looking over at this, I kind of wondered why this would be necessary. Because I've been doing this for so long, for over 12 years, and there's a lot of things like this that just come second nature. And there's some things that I just assume a lot of people know, but that's a common mistake that a lot of people who've been doing something for so long make. A lot of people who do tutorials in Blender or tutorials in any Adobe program forget that a lot of people aren't as fluent in some things, especially if they're first starting out and don't know anything about microphones. So let me grab something real quick, and I'll be right back. We're good. Alrighty, so there are two ways of plugging in an XLR microphone. Now, for those who don't know what an XLR microphone is, it is a microphone that has one of these on the bottom. Screw it, why don't I just use the microphone as a... Tim, what are you doing? I don't know, I think I'm an idiot. So, bottom of this microphone is going to be a large hole, large plug, with 3 golden pens. And the cable for this is going to be the other way around. Is going to be basically 3 tiny pens, like so. And this not only converts the signal from the microphone into something usable for the interface, but this cable also provides power. Now, the reason I say this and the reason that I think this is an important thing that needs to be said is there's some people, and some people have messaged me, and it confuses me. Some people don't know that you need a certain kind of cable for a certain kind of microphone, that you can't just plug everything into different things. And what's very, very funny is that one of the confusing things is actually on here, on the guide. So you obviously have at the top is a pretty standard interface, kind of like one of these, the Behringer Euphoria UMC22. Done a review on it. I like this interface. It's my backup. Should anything happen, I got this. I'm good. I'm golden. I just make sure this is kept nice and clean because, I don't want anything to happen to the backup too. But this is the kind of port that you would be plugging your cable from the microphone into. So just like so. What you would not be doing is plugging one of these kinds of microphones into one of these kinds of ports, the quarter inch port, because a quarter inch doesn't provide enough power to the device. It provides enough power for like a handheld dynamic mic. I think it's less than 12 volts. I'm not quite sure. And then there's other microphones that can be plugged in directly into a 3.5 millimeter jack. Those ones require the least amount of power. This is not one of those. This microphone requires 48 volts. So if you get this microphone, you're going to need an interface that has 48 volts. And like this one says on the back, it's got a switch for 48 volts. What that means is this device can provide enough power for the microphone. There are some microphones out there, I've never used them, that actually require more than 48 volts. I don't know. Another kind of device that you could use is a handheld field recorder. Now, this guide shows a handheld field recorder right there that is probably the wrong kind. That one right there looks like a Tascam, one of those Tascam small hand recorders meant for more like taking memos. That's what it looks like. That's the style and the look of it, which those ones have the 3.5 millimeter port, which is like headphone ports. So my suggestion to... Oh, TZ, it's right there. I was about to say ZT, and that's probably just my dyslexia, but TZ is that change the picture to something more like one of these, which is a Zoom H6. because it has the XLR ports right there and provides 48 volts phantom power as shown. Oh, it's just an internal thing. But yeah, I just wanted to say that. So if you had something like this that had, actually, I think it's pretty safe to say that most field recorders that have the XLR ports, one of these, it's got, this one's a combination, but normally they just have the 3 holes. This one can do the 1/4 inch as well as the XLR. But if it has XLR ports on it directly built in, there's a good chance it can do 48 volts. You may need to check on its sheet. If you're going to like whatever website, it's normally going to say whether or not it provides 48 volt phantom power, but it's a good bet. But if you get one that doesn't have these, it's not going to power the microphone. I just need to say that. So apparently there were some people that didn't know it, and I'm not shaming anybody for not knowing. There's a lot of shit that I didn't know when I first started this. First of all, I didn't know that I was speaking into my microphone backwards for the longest time. I thought I was just editing it terribly. Yeah, so there you go. I'm an idiot too. Now, let's get into this review, this bad boy. I'm just going to leave you guys there. Let's crack this bad boy open. Oh! Are we happy? We happy. It's a... Never mind. Quentin Tarantino movie. Anyway, okay, so right now, this is probably one of the heaviest microphones I think I've ever held in my hand. I'm gonna try to showcase it at my body, because over here it just disappears into the black void. Maybe there it's fine, but like, oh, over here, and then it's just gone. Oh, what happened to the microphone? All right, this is probably one of the heaviest microphones I've ever held, which is really good. I don't like a flimsy, lightweight microphone. The heavier isn't necessarily means that it's a better microphone, but it does mean that it's probably a lot more rugged and a lot more durable. Don't be smashing nails with this thing like a Shure SM58. But if I was to drop this, I wouldn't, it's brand new, so I try not to drop anything that's brand new. But if I was just putting it in and dropping, I was like, nah, I wouldn't feel like, oh, it's definitely broken. It'd be more like, oh, I'm going to check it. I'm not going to drop it. Let's check the inside real quick, because I do want to show you guys this. That came off smooth right there. You can do this with most microphones. Just take it off. It's not going to like break it or ruin the warranty or anything. But I do want to show this, the circuit boards, because there's 2, one on each side. Most microphones that I have ever reviewed, held, or opened up normally only has one circuit board. This one has 2. And I'm not an engineer, not an electrical engineer. I've only done moderate soldering. That's some pretty beefiness. That's bigger than I normally see on there. I hope that's a good sign. So if anybody knows what any of this is, comment down below and let me know, because I have no idea. But I will say that seeing a lot more on the inside makes me feel more confident about a microphone. Just because I've cracked open newer microphones or other cheap Chinese knockoffs, and you open it up and it's a circuit board and there's like 3 things on it. I don't know. It just doesn't make me feel well. Now, I'm going to see if I can showcase. Okay, here we go. A little bit right there. There we go. There is the capsule. And it is a big, big boy right there. It's a lot bigger than I normally expect in a cage this big. But, I mean, if they're modeling it after the Neumann U87, the Neumann U87 diaphragm is pretty big. Now, also for those who don't know, basically what happens is there's a very, very thin metal sheet. Gold, I think, is the only one they use. I don't know if they use anything else. But it's very thin, and because it's so thin, it's able to move with air vibrations, which gets translated into signal, and that's how you capture sound. So that's why it's gold, and I don't know if a larger diaphragm actually makes a difference. I don't know if it being bigger, but I would assume so. Being that it's bigger, a larger diaphragm would mean that it's more sensitive, I think. So, I don't know. But again, if anybody knows the answer, put that down below. So now I've taken everything out of the box, the case. I'm going to put this away because I don't need that anymore. Put that down. Cool. All right. Now I am going to put all this on a mic stand, and then we are going to check the audio. Now, at first, I wasn't going to use the Sennheiser. I was actually just going to showcase the microphone itself, but I wanted to kind of give you guys a frame of reference. This is the microphone I use for almost everything. Also, this is a $1,000 industry standard microphone. Now, yes, I would prefer to test it against a Neumann U87, considering that's what it claims to be equivalent to, but I don't have one. However, I do know that a lot of studios are able to match audio from a Sennheiser to a Neumann U87. They're fairly similar in most respects as far as sound, so maybe this should give you guys some sort of frame of reference. Now, let's plug it up. Let's listen to it. Alrighty. And now we are on the X2, and we are not on the Sennheiser MKH416. Nothing going through. Putting that away. And now we are on nothing but the not the U87. You almost got me. The X2. There is nothing going on my mixer other than the levels. The levels and my mixer, for those who don't know, link is in the description. I like to, make that available, the information available. But it's the Yamaha MG12XU, and the gain is set to 12. And the levels are set to 0, which is basically, standard. It has, up to 10 and then down to 400. I'm not entirely sure what that means. Also, the EQ is completely off and compression is completely off too. So you are listening to this as is, as intended, nothing going in. All I'm going to be doing is normalizing it in the footage. Other than that, you are listening to it as is. Now, when I would be using a little bit of EQ to kind of take a little bit off of the sibilance and a little bit of bassiness just to kind of hopefully cut down on some of the outside noise, because I have a lot of AC units on the other side of this wall and there's traffic that's not that far away. So sometimes I have to kind of bring down the low end a little bit. And then I'd kind of have some EQ to eliminate some of the peaking. But other than that, you're listening to this raw. Now, let me just say, out of the gate, because I've now done 3 of these videos, this is the 3rd, that I like this microphone. That I really, really like this microphone. I don't know, because I'm not testing it against other things, how it compares against all the other microphones I've ever tested. I wish I owned all those mics. A lot of them were either on loan to me or I gave them away for whatever reason. A lot of times there'll be some people friends that I know really, really well that are looking to start up a channel or thinking of getting into voiceover, and I'll just give them a microphone that I have like extra of that I'm done reviewing and people haven't asked about in a long time. But I would say that this is definitely one of my favorite sounding ones. Because, again, there's nothing happening on the EQ. And I have a sibilant voice. Now, yes, I have some bassiness to my voice, but there's a lot of S and there's a lot of T. There's a lot of sharpness at the top end of my voice. But it doesn't sound that bad. It's not too sharp, it's not too brittle, it's not too bright. And I don't have this sheet out anymore. Oh, you can kind of see it. The reason for that is that this is... I'm just going to pull it out. This is a really smooth waveform as far as the frequency. I think that's what they mean by transparency. I think. If that's correct, let me know. But it has a little bit of a dip at the end, at the low end. It has a little bit of a boost and then dip again on the high end to kind of help with that clarity. And I think it works really, really well. I'm not hearing any noise other than the noise outside. I will be turning the gain up in a second so we can actually hear the noise itself. But as of right now, this is really, really clean. It's really good. And they just sent it to me. That shows confidence. That really shows confidence. So yeah, now we're going to turn the gain up a little bit so we can kind of hear. What we're going to be listening for is that kind of hiss, that kind of crackling, any of that kind of like digital crackling sound. That's going to be something that's either introduced from the microphone, the cable, or the interface. Anything else that you're going to be hearing is probably going to be outside. So I'm going to turn this up to 3 o'clock. So now we're at 3 o'clock. You can kind of hear that hiss. You can kind of hear that. But mostly you can hear the AC units outside. Turn it up a little bit more. I don't like microphones this loud. There's a very slight hiss. But it's so much quieter than the actual noise outside. All right, now we're going to turn it back up. Or back down, rather. Yeah. Yeah, as you heard, the actual noise introduced either through the interface or through the microphone. The interface, the preamps on this interface, this mixer is really, really clean. So some of that could have been the interface, I'm sure. But even if it was the microphone, like even if all that digital hiss was the microphone, it's so much quieter than the noise outside. That's really, really good. It's really clean. Yeah, it's kind of hard to do this review now that now that I have it plugged in, because if it's a bad mic, there's tons to talk about. There's tons of things that they got wrong. There's tons of things to go over about what I would and wouldn't use it on. But this is, it's just good. And I'm not overpraising it. I'm not like, again, they didn't pay me to do this. They just sent me the microphone. I will say one thing. This is a $200 microphone. So its price range does warrant that kind of. I'm actually going to turn this down a little bit. I think I'm coming in a little bit too hot. The price range does warrant that kind of quality. Does warrant much higher quality than let's say the Audio-Technica 2020, which I will be testing against at some point in time, because it's not entirely fair to test this microphone against a shotgun mic, because they're very different microphones. Obviously, the shotgun mic is going to pick up a lot less outside noise because of its rejection, and a large diaphragm is far more sensitive and is going to pick up a lot more stuff outside. So it's not a real one-to-one. So testing a $200 microphone against a $100 microphone also wouldn't be too fair, but it would be a little bit more accurate because of they have the same pickup pattern and the same style of microphone. And you'd be able to tell, does this sound like $200 more? Also, the Audio-Technica is one that I've just used so many times in different shootouts that by now you guys should pretty much know how it sounds. But yeah. I think they have 3 or 4 different other microphones of a similar style, the same like form factor, and they just come in different price range. I think this is the cheaper one, the cheapest of them. I don't have it in front of me right now. I can probably look it up. All right, so I got the prices of their microphones right here. I don't know if these are all the microphones that they have, but the microphones that are on their website that I know of Looks to be like 4 of them. So we have the Stellar X2 large condenser microphone. That's this guy, is $200. And then they have the X2 Vintage large condenser microphone. That is $269. And then there is the X3, which is $350. So they got some range as far as like their price points. And this is one of their, I think it is their least expensive one. Just trying to kill an ad. I think this is their least expensive one, which just because something is a company's least expensive microphone does not make the microphone bad in any way. Like, for example, the Blue Spark. For a while, that was Blue's least expensive microphone, and that one was great and easily compared to the Neumann U87 in a lot of people's tests. My only thing was it died out. This one, I kind of wish I had my Blue Spark to compare them to, because I think I like the sound of this one a little bit better. But there you go. I can't think of anything else to say. Basically, all that's going to be left is for you guys to ask any questions about it. And since I've had this for a while now, because I've tried to shoot this video 3 times, and I've tried editing it multiple times, I know some ins and outs. That's it. It's one of those microphones that I do actually recommend. As far as what would I recommend for it? Everything. I would recommend it for voiceover. I'd recommend it for singing. I'd recommend it for, doing things as far down as basically, if you can do really, really clean commercial narration grade voiceover or character animation, which I could definitely use this for character work. I could definitely use this for audiobook. Definitely when you get closer to it, it gets a lot more proximity, so you can take advantage of it that way. I do want to try one thing as I finish out this video. I'm going to actually take this off, and we're actually going to talk to it off to one side, because this is a little bit more how I'd normally use it. I probably would still have the foam wind cover on it, or a pop filter. Normally I use the foam wind covers like I do on my Sennheiser, mostly just because it's less in the way. But I do also like this foam wind cover, because I think it does a better job than most others. They're not all built the same. Just to let you know, they're not all designed the same. But anyway, I could use this for audiobook. I could use this for commercial narration. I could use this for character work. I could use this for pretty much anything. I do still personally prefer my Sennheiser MKH416. I do prefer shotgun mics, mostly just because of my situation, because I'm in an area and a living situation where I need to cancel out a lot of noise off to the side, above, and behind me, or behind the microphone rather. So I'm probably not going to be using a large diaphragm too much. But if that goes out, I'm good. If that goes out, I can use most of the microphones that I have in my library. But the one I'd probably be going to first is going to be this one, as a replacement to my Sennheiser. Just because it is so clean that if I was to do a character or anything where I had to do a lot of whispering, the microphone isn't adding a lot of noise. And if I was to treat this wall a little bit better to try to help eliminate the outside noise, it would be really, really clean. So there you go. This is one of the microphones that I would definitely recommend. I would definitely put it in the top 5 of the microphones that I've reviewed on this channel. I do want to get my hands on a Neumann, either TLM 103, TLM 104, or U87. Probably won't be U87, to really compare this to, because I think that's really where this is going to come down to. Does it live up to that statement, that the thing that it's trying to invoke? I think it's pretty close, but again, I haven't really been on a Neumann U87 before, so what do I know? But that's going to be it for this video. If you guys liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Totally fine. But you have to say why if you give it a thumbs down. You have to say why, otherwise it doesn't count. It's not my rules, it's, YouTube's. Yeah, and link to the microphone will be in the description, as always. And yeah, that's going to be it. And until next time, peace.